Namaskar from your Sanmitra, Sustainability Mitra, Hydrogen Wala. Friends, welcome to Hydrogen Wala YouTube channel, which is dedicated, one of its kind channel dedicated to hydrogen related policy, technology and solutions. Today we are sitting in beautiful campus of IIT Mumbai, world renowned institute, and we have son of soil, Dr. PC Ghosh, who is, you can say, a hydrogen guru for all of us. He has done MTech from Jadavpur University at Kolkata, doctoral student from prestigious Aachen University from Germany, leaving behind the comfort and the attractiveness of settling abroad in Germany. He is in India doing cutting edge research in hydrogen, passionate about net zero emission, I would say absolute emission zero hydrogen chula for agrarian brothers and sisters of India. Welcome, Dr. Ghosh, to this podcast. Good morning to you.
Good morning, and thank you very much for having me here, of course. And it's also my pleasure to share my experience with other people. Thank you very much.
Excellent. So, with your kind permission, let's start. Dr. Ghosh, can you please give background about your ongoing research in hydrogen?
Thank you. So, actually, this research, if I talk about, mainly we are working on hydrogen. We live with hydrogen, of course, like that, I can say. And there are three different aspects that we are working. One is that hydrogen generation. Another one is that hydrogen storage, and third one is that hydrogen utilization.
Excellent.
So in all this front, we are trying to do some research, but our main interest that our research should lead to the requirement of my society.
Yes,
that's important.
Absolutely brilliant. So from Germany's top-notch research institute to India's IIT Mumbai, what was your thought process then when you took that decision?
Okay, so I think before that I want to correct this to even lots of people have this mistake that we still call IIT Bombay, Mumbai.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, no problem. So this is very important because everybody should know that. Yeah, so I did not know that where from I should start. Of course, so I remember when I landed in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
It was 1999, and I was very fortunate to work in a system is that they are using hydrogen as a storage medium as a complementary to lead acid battery in solar.
Wow.
That was the starting point of hydrogen what we are seeing today.
About a quarter century back.
Yes, and that they had a system which started in 1993, and after 6 years of operation I started working with it. And then I was supposed to do some technical work, but because of my language barrier, because I could not speak German, I could not talk to the technician there, I had to find my own topic. I never knew that topic would have been so excellent, because anything that you are doing in the lab, ultimate success that what we think that going to the society depends on the cost. So then I started doing on the life cycle cost analysis of that system, and we predicted that if the cost of electrolyzer and fuel cell comes to this level, then it will be penetrating in the market, which was told in 2002 based on my research. And now we are seeing that cost is being achieved and it is penetrating.
Fantastic. And and what was your trigger point to return to India?
It was very simple. I wanted to come back for my mother.
Oh, lovely.
And my mother lived in India, so I came back to India. This is very simple. There is nothing. But that time I used to think I am thinking about mother, and mother lives where we call it my motherland. But then after that, because I promised my mother I'll come back after 3 years of my PhD.
Lovely.
But when I was working in hydrogen, and after I finished my PhD, then that time I started speaking, and I wanted to share with you. Even I had to defend my thesis in German. So I learned speaking German. So by that time when I finished my PhD, I was actually ready to start working in the lab. So they offered me a permanent scientist position, and which I had to say no. I told I have promised my mother I'll go back, so I have to go back. But then also I realized that in the meantime I was coming to India and then visiting few of the labs, and now they are actually very good in fuel cell and hydrogen, and I feel that we are really way behind. And I thought, as I'm acquiring this knowledge, I have to go back to my country, and because this is hydrogen is going to be, because that time also I felt that this
Yes.
cost will come down, and one day probably down the line it will be very important. I should start and contribute to my society.
Excellent.
That's the reason actually I wanted to come back for my mother. But now, as we are talking about in the beginning, that's something what we are doing, utilization. I feel that I came back for all the mothers living in my country.
Fantastic. That is the mantra of today, and especially what's happening in globally around the way the Indians are treated. This is a sort of a great example. So let's go ahead. You came to India. What was your stark realization, on the ground realization?
Yeah, so I came and I visited lots of the lab, and all the labs I found they are doing in a scale where I have done in 5 kilowatt fuel cell I developed, and I wanted to come back and then replicate that in my country. And I found they were doing in the lab which is around 2 by 2 centimeters small cell. So that was the thing. And then one of the lab I joined after I came here is in that lab they were working. They actually I wanted to give little bit of my journey. I did MSc in physics from Viswabharati, as you forgot to didn't mention, MTech in energy and PhD in mechanical in Germany.
Yeah.
And then my first job was in a chemical lab
Okay.
in India. So this was really a subject which is an interdisciplinary. You need to know lots of
Yes.
subjects, and at least you should have a breadth rather than having a depth, so that you can see something is happening there. So after I came back from there, so then when I joined in one of this lab, I found that whatever I wanted to do, I could not do, because there are two things. When you have, let's say, in a system where you have boss, or it is the mandate by the institute, and you have to follow that. Sometimes in that you might not be able to use your expertise.
Yes.
Then I found that probably it's not a right place for me, where I want to do something and I'm not able to execute that one because the mandate of the institute is different. Then I thought I have to be my own boss. Then I decided to come to IIT Bombay.
Excellent.
But when you are your own boss, you have to also earn your own money. So that's the problem.
True.
What happened? So I had to get all funding, everything, because in one institute everything was ready. I had to do only those work. In other place, like when I moved to IIT Bombay, then it was my
That was in 2006.
that was in 2000. So 2004 I came back to India.
Okay.
So in 2006 I moved to IIT Bombay.
Okay.
So in 2006 I realized I have nothing now. I have only the knowledge. And I had difficulties because people were not ready to give money that I needed for that level where I wanted to work, and all other people were starting from the scratch.
Yes.
So that was the main reason. But I wanted to have my own, because I had my own vision.
Yes.
And I wanted to pursue that, and that's the reason I came.
I like your word is that I would like to be my own boss. That is the but boss comes with the responsibility of feeding yourself.
Right.
Absolutely brilliant. So Dr. Ghosh, आगे बढ़ते हैं. So when how you sort of reach to hydrogen chula, absolute zero emission hydrogen chula is your passion. So how you meet this idea, or how this thing occurred to you?
It actually is very nice, because sometimes when I came back to India, there is another small thing which I will be telling. It's very much personal, but still I want to share, because if you something you want to do, probably start from long back. I'm coming from a place in West Bengal, and that place also I had to run away from my village because of riot, barefoot, in 1993. And that's the starting point where from I started thinking that what is that wrong in that village, and I love my village. Still I carry an email address called chamugram@gmail.com, because I love my village. That's Chamugram is the name of my village.
Fantastic.
And when I looked back, then I found it was the only illiteracy of the people with whom I was living. Because of that, all those things have triggered, that riot was triggered because of that. And then I had to leave my, let's say, a village where I wanted to die. And now when I go there, I see that it's completely different. So that was the thing. Then when I went Germany,
Chamugram is a village in Birabhumur district?
Murshidabad.
Murshidabad.
You know that Murshidabad is also,
Yes.
it was in news very recently because of lots of other things.
other things.
So then I thought, when I was there also in Germany, this is the thing, it was always bugging me, that what was that wrong, it has happened, and how can I do that? Then finally I came to conclusion that I need to go back to my village and then do something for my village in terms of literacy.
Yes.
And if these people are literate, it would not have happened.
Mm.
But finally, that literacy, what I wanted to do as a social work, could not happen.
Mm.
I landed in IIT Bombay and I was doing a different level of literacy. But of course, I was telling all of my students, I came back to India only for one thing. I wanted to do social work, but probably I'm not able to do the social work I wanted to do. But I dream that I will do social work through you. If you are going out from this institute, keep me in mind that I wanted to do something for my society, and you are the last hope that you will be going and doing something. This I tell my all BTech students who comes in contact with me.
Excellent.
So that was what I started. But then, as you understand from my background, I have seen that my mother using chula with a smoke. And that is even I have born and brought
smoke
up.
means carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide.
Of course. And this is what I have seen, because my mother, of course, used to use cow dung. This is the other way of using that one. So that was the problem was ready with me. And then I started thinking that when I started seeing hydrogen, then I saw hydrogen is also fuel, means it can burn. On the other hand, for cooking you need, and that's the reason I started thinking, is this the way we should start thinking? And then this is because you see sometimes they say that, okay, you have developed in 2 years or 3 years or 4 years. I always say it is not 2 or 3 years or 4 years of knowledge. It's a knowledge started from 99, where I did the cost analysis. I knew that hydrogen is going to go to kitchen because of this cost analysis also. So it is not in 3 or 4 years of experience in the chula. I can develop the chula. Because of that 99 cost analysis, I can tell that chula is going to be cost effective. Let us work on it.
Fantastic. It's well said. So, can you explain to our common man who listens to this in a simple word how it works? Hydrogen chula.
It's very simple. Actually, whatever you have LPG, so then LPG is having some fuel.
Yes.
Now, fuel means somewhere you have put the energy.
Correct.
Where from that energy has come? It has come from solar. Millions of years ago, it is being stored in some form. And then you are doing it.
Correct.
And then you have the problem what has happened, which was stored for millions of years. Now you are using in few hundred years. That's the problem of time scale. What we are trying to do now, we are telling, let us do an online. That means you will be producing from solar and you will be utilizing, and again next day you will be producing. It's not that you will be waiting again million years and then to produce your fuel. So idea is that now, you know that from solar we are now producing electricity, and that electricity you are getting light and fan. Mostly that's what we are talking in villages. Can you divert that energy and then produce fuel? And that is what we say, that if you put energy in water, you can get that hydrogen fuel, which you are manufacturing at your home on daily basis, and you are utilizing.
So solar power to splitting of water, making hydrogen. Do we need to clean that hydrogen before we burn it? No.
We don't, because it comes completely clean hydrogen. Sometimes you'll be having little bit of oxygen in it.
But that we can leave it.
That we can leave it. This is very good actually.
Okay. And then using it for our actual burning. The way we are using the burners are something which is you told is something a specialty, and that's what my next question is to you. Is that what is this? Can you give some broad technical specs of this product?
You see, it's very simple. Like, let's say, first we are producing fuel, that you understood that, okay, that we are using solar energy and then try to get that energy and put it in another form. Because if solar energy means photon, if it hits, if you do not trap it, you will be losing in some other form. So what we are doing, actually, we are putting the solar energy in the form of hydrogen as an energy. Now, as this is a fuel, it is very easy to burn it, because any fuel can catch fire very easily.
Correct.
So if you take the difference between explosion and combustion, combustion is what we talk about. Combustion is a controlled explosion. That means when you are doing combustion, you are trying to take care of the safety while you are burning the fuel. So what we have done, that because even if you take the hydrogen from a pipe and then you put a fire, it will start catching fire. Lots of people will be saying like a Bunsen burner you can get. But to avoid accident, you need to have some design where you can actually avoid those types of fire. So this whatever burner we are talking about, because catching fire in hydrogen is not a difficult thing. Anybody can do it. A small kid can do that one. What you can do, what we have done is that catching that fire and then maintaining the safety is that the role of that burner what we are doing.
Okay, perfect. So, means direct burning of hydrogen is a tricky. So how you address that mystery?
No, I think that's what I keep on telling, that people think that is tricky. Again, I tell it's not tricky. To do it safely is the tricky.
Okay, yeah.
Because otherwise it can always catch fire, it can cause lots of things. Okay, so now how are you doing that tricky thing? That's what I was telling, is ultimately there are different ways. Like if you put hydrogen in fire, so then there is a particular thing, or do you think that is a diameter of the hole through which hydrogen gas is coming out.
Yes.
There is a thermodynamic calculation you can do, an energy calculation. You can tell that the diameter should be less than this, which people say around 0.5 to 0.6 millimeter diameter, which is with some calculation. So it's not, don't take exactly this number, it can vary based on the situation.
Yes.
But also materials you are using, all other things. But this is rough. So this is one of the things that we have taken into consideration, so that safety is that one of the major thing which is most of the people are talking.
Yeah.
So if you put fire, we can 100% assure that there will not be any problem from the burner, that it will catch fire in your cylinder.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. So good you talked about safety, because the moment people hear about hydrogen, the common thing comes to the mind is how safe it is. And as through Hydrogen Wala we have a YouTube channel we are propagating, but would love to hear the safety mechanisms that you have built in this product.
I think now when you are talking about safety, you have to understand safety to what. Is this safety to property, safety to the life? Because sometimes it can catch fire in the building, sometimes it can catch fire and it also catch fire, and then that the life can be also in danger. So mostly when you are talking about the safety, sometimes we are talking about the safety to the person who is close to that.
Correct.
Fuel. That's it, life. That's what we call life.
Life.
And that's my understanding. And then a life, what we are talking about, is attached to a human being, and that human being is actually standing there on the floor. So any fuel which is heavier than the air, they are actually mingling with the feet of that person, catching the feet all the time.
Yes.
But a fuel which is lighter than
the
air,
hydrogen is 14 times lighter than the air.
so then it will be escape. So those are the things are very important which you have taken, and we know that it is going to be safe. Of course there will be some problem, like let's say I'll tell an example. If you keep the hydrogen in the burner completely open, or due to some reason leakage happens, and this is our findings, that it follows the vertical path. It does not take any horizontal path, and nobody will be standing on the burner and
Yes.
say, okay, I'm standing. Right? It will be away from that.
Yes,
At least, even we have not seen in 10 centimeter away there is any hydrogen concentration,
Okay.
right? So this is the main safety when you're talking about, because if it leaks, it is going to catch fire, and that's the main concern, and which we find that's not going to happen when you're talking about hydrogen in this sense in most of the cases. Of course, if you make a situation like Jyotu Griya where you are closing everything and then you are telling, now I want to keep it leak, that's a different
story.
But that's not, because always we'll be having an SOP where we'll be telling that wherever you have an hydrogen chula, on top of that there should be
Ventilation.
and that ventilation is without electric.
Okay.
Because if you have electric, then this is the path through which you have a hydrogen. And if you start that time, if a DC fan gives a spark and it can react. So it's better to keep a
Natural ventilation.
natural ventilation, what it was there earlier. If
Correct.
you keep it, this is good enough, because of the buoyancy, it will escape.
Correct.
It keeps on finding where is the path that hydrogen can move out from there. So that's what our findings, but still we need to go some distance
perfect.
to prove those things.
Some work to be done.
Also it actually that this is right.
Yes, I agree. Perfect. And it will also depend on situation to situation. Right.
Yes. And one important thing is also teaching the people that what are the pros and cons, right? Of course.
Correct. So for this product, who are your target customers? Hydrogen Chula.
I think as I come from rural area, this is my dream, okay? And then of course, if you don't do business, actually this does not work, right? So, and with business, there is no charity in business,
Correct.
right? Okay, but I need to, this is my own, because why I have started, as I told, I started for my mother, because I have seen my mother to struggle. Then I visualized that the mother of that entire 1.4 billion people and that many families. So that is ultimately where I want to reach. I want to reach to the last miles people. What is the main challenge for the United Nations and World Health Organization? They are still worried that per year how many people are dying because of the cooking fuel only. And you know that a country is made by the next generation. Now a person who is giving birth, that lady, and she is exposed to those environmental pollution, the next generation and some percentage of that, they are also not healthy.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I feel that this is the major thing which we need to do. But of course, there you need to bring down the cost.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it will take
True.
some more time.
Absolutely. So the benefits, let's talk about benefits. Okay. So what you are saying is some of the health benefits that this product offers, all right? And for the common man, okay, what are the other benefit it would offer, this chula, hydrogen chula?
Now I'll tell that if I'm taking only my, because as I told in the beginning, I came back to my country for my people. So when I see that, and I see only the cooking sector, because if you see that hydrogen, it is very interesting to see also, and I kept on telling to lots of people that hydrogen is now proven to be an flexible fuel and universal fuel at least. But the use of this fuel will be completely regional and based on the social requirement and as well the practices. Country, if you, and I feel that my country should not make a mistake again by copying a glass house we have done in past. Because glass house, what I am talking about, the glass buildings, it is very good in the Western world because it fits their environment for space heating, so that they can reduce the load of heating using that building, and it also looks good. When you saw it, we never realized that purpose behind it, and it looked very beautiful, and then we started copy pasting in our country, and then we increased our heat load in our country. This was a big blunder. We should have gone with our conventional, let's say, building, whatever we are doing, and we should have done the way we need, doing solar architecture and some other things. We have not done that. So we should remember that when technology is being developed, where it is developed, they always keep their people in mind and they develop, and they try to fine tune for your requirement. It is also going to happen with hydrogen. If we do not understand our requirement, and a person who are in a country where 70% people that are living in the village with, let's say, BPL and so many people, their requirement is entirely different from a country, from the developed nation.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So, आगे चलते हैं. In terms of technology readiness, where you will put, let's say, TRL 1 to TRL 9, if these are the standard definitions, where will you put technology readiness level of your technology?
In this TRL also, there are different people put different
Yeah.
characteristics. So it's very difficult to tell, but I can tell you, instead of putting the numbers,
Yeah.
I can tell you that we have technically proven in the lab all the aspects of safety and everything. Now we are ready for taking it to the for POCs. The
POC.
proof. So in the we want to put on the field, and we wanted to get the input of the end users so that we have a foolproof system. That's what we
Perfect.
understand.
So probably TRL 7 or TRL 8,
you
you
can
can
take
say.
it, yes.
Perfect. And with some modifications, safety aspects, it is ready for
we need actually behavior of the end users.
end
That's
user.
very important.
That's very important. True. Excellent. So you mentioned that burner is a most crucial part of the combustion, controlled explosion or combustion system. It is, I'm sure it is patented aspect, right? So can you just, this one, give us some background about your patent on this?
Yes, so this is actually, I'm part of a startup which was spin-off from IIT Bombay.
Okay.
So, but I have also only, and I'm technically, of course, I'm director as well as a technical advisor to that. So, in Chest Clean Power Private Limited, which is being patented, this burner, which is of course very expensive. You see one thing, when we are talking about patent, there we call it international patent.
Correct.
But international patent, as soon as we talk about PCT. Now PCT is that Paris Convention Treaty, which those countries have signed. If you file PCT, it is applicable in those countries. But we are talking about some applications. Mostly it will not be PCT.
Yeah,
it will be other than PCT.
Other PCT, because developing countries and
Underdeveloped countries
will be.
I'll give an example. We have spent lots of money. Still we have to, and it's actually from the company itself. They have the other directors. They have actually put their money from their pocket. We have, let's say for example, Bangladesh. They do not come under PCT. You go for Myanmar, does not come. Nepal does not come. Bhutan does not come. Iraq does not come. Iran doesn't come. Iraq doesn't come. So these are the things we have already filed. PCT we have still time for another few, because we need money now, because PCT is very expensive. So but we have gone for this because we had a time limit. So we have
So you have gone for the patent in the PCT countries.
We will be going global.
Okay.
But for PCT you have a 30 months time.
Okay.
But for other countries you have only 12 months time.
12
so
months.
we have finished those countries,
which
are important. But we have 3 patent now. One is that burner.
Okay.
But then we have 2 different burners. I did not mention. If you take our context, Indian context, there are 3 different types of users. One is that we call easily available to them LPG and PNG.
Correct.
Other sector, LPG, and there also will be counted that they have LPG connection. That's what, because we tell 2/3 of the population is having LPG connection, 1/3 is not having LPG connection.
Correct.
Clean cooking fuel
Clean.
we call. So this, under this 2/3, some of the people they'll be having, but they do not have a good supply of that. I will give you an example of, let's say, Ladakh. I'll give an example of Northeast. There sometimes becomes very difficult in lots of the places to reach with cylinder. Let's say in 45 days one cylinder. They will be getting 3 cylinders in a year, probably hardly, and they have to save that cylinder and use it. So we have come up with another solution where you do not store your hydrogen and use your LPG and hydrogen. Hydrogen is the main, and when hydrogen fails because of your bad weather or anything,
You can inject
LPG
small.
and then LPG and then do. So we call it as a hybrid burner.
Fantastic.
And that
That's very innovative. That's very innovative.
And then we are now telling, even other thing also, as I take this opportunity to also tell the listener as well, that the other sector what I am talking about, PNG, like in Mumbai, we are sitting in our home and people are struggling for hydrogen blending in.
Yeah, mother stations.
And I told that ultimately why you do a centralized thing, because your centralized gas is coming from centralized
Correct.
plant. And then ultimately you make it distributed to every household.
Correct.
But your other gas, if it is distributed in nature, then why you need to blend in a centralized plant?
Okay. You can have a decentralized blending also. That's
That
what
is-
you are coming to.
That is what we have a patent now.
Okay.
We have filed a patent where we are telling that we want to blend in the stove, not in the centralized place.
Okay.
And then our calculation shows around 1 kilowatt plant which is required. What we have done now, 1 kilowatt and 5 kilowatt plant. 1 kilowatt plant is good enough, which requires 3 panel. You can put in a, let's say, big housing society. That is enough to make 5%
3
blending.
panels of
Around 0.5 kilowatt peak you can do. So
0.5 kilowatt into 3.
So 1.5 kilowatt, 1.7 kilowatt peak you take.
Okay.
And you can connect it to an 1.2 kilowatt electrolyzer.
Yeah.
That is good enough. That is good enough for a family.
Family.
And that is also good enough if you are putting, when you have a PNG line, to cater 5% blending
5% blending.
for 20 families.
Lovely.
That means if you have an
Apartment.
high-rise
Yeah,
apartment,
exactly. Yeah.
and that is the target for most of the PNG. And I told that, okay, this is what we should go, and this is what we understand from our research, and we are ready with all those technologies,
Correct.
and we are fine tuning that one, of course. with our-
Fantastic. It would be a brilliant, I would say, because we always believe that hydrogen is a decentralized fuel when it used because of the issues attached with the logistics part of it, right? And what you are sort of telling us is that blend it at the source, which becomes, or the consumption point, which is a very innovative way of looking at the blending aspect.
Because
which-
I told lots of people that why you'll be running your hydrogen all around the city, and then you do not know how much you. It is something like that. I tell this one also, that when you are blending, it is actually you're marrying two different people. There's a marriage, right?
Marriage.
And they have, sometimes marriage is very successful when the characteristics matches.
Yes.
Now characteristics does not match, then they escape after some times, right? Okay, and they don't have that one.
Yeah.
Similar thing is happening in this case. Hydrogen and PNG, they have entirely different characteristics because of the density, and they are getting separated. And you know, in the beginning when that marriage you are doing as a parent, you know it's not going to survive. But because you have amended to get married to your son or daughter, you are getting it, forgetting it, and then you don't see.
That's a very good example.
And that at the end you are not never. I have
you
asked,
don't know exactly.
and I have asked all the people that, okay, you have done 5%. Have you seen 5% reduction in your consumption in that?
Consumption, yeah.
You have not seen
Seen
it.
it.
Please
Correct.
see it. If it is not 5%, that means you have done something, but that was not a successful blending.
Exactly. So the blending should reduce the fuel consumption by 5% or that much.
I think not 1%.
1%.
They are telling
Volume terms divided by 3. You are right. Correct. Right. So if we are doing 5% blending, you should your 1.5% reduction in the energy consumption should happen.
At least I told that, okay, at one point, have you checked that, okay, whatever volume percent you have done there, in their fuel, is that volume percent is there or not?
Correct.
Then they told also, sometimes somebody told, okay, actually if it is not used, we see that PNG is sitting in the ground floor, people are getting PNG, and top floor people are getting hydrogen.
Oh my God.
Because it will be separating.
Separating,
If you,
correct,
let's say you have not used during from lunchtime till evening time, then they are settling, and then slowly, it's of course, the way you see in a liquid column, you see that because of the density difference, they get separated.
Yes.
It will be separated.
Separated. Oh, lovely. Great. Fantastic. So